So Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3, the Culling Game anime arc has been announced at the end of Season 2, and I'm quite happy for that. Of course, I'm worried for the production team and the hellish schedule they are bound to be forced to, but after the ending of Season 2 and almost how abrupt it ends, it's good to know that we are getting more eventually, whenever that does happen. I mean, I hope they take as long as they need. Most likely it will be rushed out before it's ready, and we'll probably continue the cycle. But either way, I am very excited for more, especially given how everything just hit the fan. Yuta pops back up saying, okay, I'm gonna kill Itadori. I'm like, okay, sure, Yuta kills Yuji, why not? Oh, Gojo's gonna stay sealed, everyone's being blamed, and just now we're just back trying to clean up Shibuya after fake Ghetto decided to ruin Christmas. That's just JJK for you. I do a full live reaction to this last episode of Season 2 over on my Patreon, so if you would like to see that, it's over there if you're interested. This was a bit of a mixed bag episode for me. In general, I think I look at Season 2 and I'm like, I'm so impressed that there was barely any production issues, at least for me. I enjoyed the art direction that they went for, the animation. There's just back-to-back insanity in terms of animation. So the fact that this last episode has so many wide shots and almost slideshow presentation, I get it. Like, even if there was a lot of those in the manga, whether there was or not, I have no idea. I mean, it's very clear that when characters are talking, they're just showing a lot of Shibuya. It's not even really like damaged or anything like that. It's just general buildings and architecture. And it's very clear they did that so they wouldn't have to animate faces talking and things like that. And I get it. I don't blame them in the slightest. But I would be a liar if I said it did take me out a bit, because it just kind of felt like anytime I'm just like looking at, here's a random picture of the street, here's a random signpost, here's a random bridge, it's like, that doesn't do a whole lot for me. It'd be a bit different if it was very brutal imagery given like the destruction, but it just felt very empty and very boring. The stuff that was great was very great. Anytime characters were actually talking, we were seeing them. I mean, all the stuff at the very beginning. You have Yuki, who popped up at the end of last episode. I was like, is this going to save the day? Is this going to make it worse? Seemingly saved the day, even if that conversation at first, I was like, damn, it kind of feels like she's about to side with our boy here, and thankfully that wasn't the case. But I mean, they're screaming for Gojo. I'm saying, yeah, let's crack that cube open. I mean, what are we going to do? If we don't have Gojo, how are we going to deal with anything? And apparently if you throat Mahito, he also wanted to do that to Jogo, you basically become Armageddon, and he just unlaunches he opened Pandora's box on Shibuya, and now this shit just be flying everywhere, and pretty much Japan is going to be the center of all this chaos. And oh my lord, I mean, it's understandable why Yuji looks so dead inside at the end. He's pretty much just trying to boogie woogie himself, getting the spirits, the things that he needs to hunt down around him to attack him, as he basically is destined to be executed by our protagonist from JJK0, as, yeah, Yuta pops back up to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. It's the stuff that is good in this episode is very good. Like, there's so much good storytelling. It kind of feels like, while it does feel like the end of an arc, it just almost feels like maybe there should have been an episode 24 just to maybe not be as abrupt of an ending, but I think that's just kind of how the arc naturally ends in the manga, so the anime, of course, is going to do the same thing. But either way, it just felt like it's interesting on one hand because this is the type of production, still frames, and mediocre content that I would have expected in any of the previous action episodes. So the fact that it actually took until the last episode of this season for the production to really kind of grind to a halt is actually impressive. Like, this flexes how talented this team was, because the amount of insane talent that worked on so many of these crazy fights and the episodes as a whole, they were very consistent, and it just felt like they had no need to go as hard as they did for this animation. So yes, while I wasn't a fan of looking at probably 100 different still shots of background arts as characters are talking, I was more than okay having that pop up in an episode that was kind of like the resolution, the epilogue, kind of tying a bow to this crazy incident, as pretty much everything looks worse than it already did. The only silver lining is that no more characters seemingly died as Imposter Ghetto opened up Pandora's box and decided to dip, but that isn't much of a silver lining. It's still bullshit, all things considered. But I would say Season 2 overall, much better than Season 1. I love Season 1. I thought it was like, okay, this is a shonen that has a lot of potential. I see some massive potential here. I can't wait for more. JJK0, I'm like, okay, now I'm real excited for Season 2. And it just kept getting better by the arc here. I loved Season 2. I enjoyed this episode. That's pretty much my rating. I enjoyed it, but I'd be a liar if I said that, you know what, visually it was quite underwhelming, but the actual content has me eager for more. Yuki and Yuta were the star attractions just because of their unexpected pop-ups, but like Yuta coming back really isn't that much of a shocker. To me, like, that's all but given. Like, I knew he would probably pop up next arc. Like, that was probably my hunch, because I was like, there's no way you keep him away forever from JJK0. He has to pop up. And especially if you're going to remove Gojo, we need some other characters to kind of add some flavor to the cast here if the world's gonna basically end. The shocking part about Yuta is the fact that he's basically Itadori, Yuji's executioner, and the 5 little rules about how they're blaming, oh, the killing the execution order on Geto, put that back up. Oh, co-conspirator Gojo, leave him sealed. And I'm like, bro, like, what is happening? The content itself is really, really good. It's just, yeah, the production was kind of whatever, but it was a final episode without a lot of action. I'm more than okay with that happening. I'm just glad it didn't happen to multiple episodes throughout this season, right? It's hard to say exactly what I want to see from season 3 because I know absolutely nothing about it, and that's quite exciting. Like, the only thing I really knew about Gojo's flashback arc was that it was emotional, and the only thing I really knew about the Shibuya incident arc was that it was the craziest shit we've seen. And both of those statements lived up to expectations 100% and at times surpassed it. But I'm very interested because, you know, when you hear things like, oh, the execution order for our boy, we're no longer keeping him safe, like that's going to happen immediately. And then we just see him almost trying to boogie-woogie himself as he's just cleaning up the streets after so much chaos has been unleashed to the general public. I'm interested to see how fast that's going to happen in terms of that confrontation, the Yuji versus Yuta fight, because that has to be pretty early on into the next season, you would think, but at the same time, who knows? Like, maybe there's a lot we don't quite know about different plot points. Like, yeah, they set up a lot this season, but they might be doing something completely different when we first jump into it, and those plot points might not come until a bit later into the season. But either way, my expectations for season 3, hopefully it just matches the insanity that I expect from the show going forward. Not that everything needs to be like, oh my god, back-to-back crazy fights, but with what the Shibuya incident arc did in terms of just really raising the stakes with emotions, and given how they leave this off, I do expect the next arcs are going to keep on doing that because they've kind of set it out to be that. The only thing I'm really crossing my fingers for is that while I do appreciate that they had a 3-week break between the flashback arc and this arc, I hope that maybe when they're like, okay, we're probably going to do that, maybe just don't do that and delay it a season. Because that just clearly is what this team needed, but either way, it is what it is. I still rate this season 10 out of 10, and I'm very excited for more. Let me know what you thought, though, down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more to the channel. And like I mentioned, we have that full live reaction over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, you also get a video shout out. So today we have Michael Goodley, Yuki Ali, Slippers, Rogue Knight, Pranay Samshwar, Darian Smith, Slim Shady 1, and Rajver Mullen. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.